This is just regular Why We Love Horror. I'm John Maher. That's Aaron Brooks. Aaron, before we get into this, how you feeling?
I'm excited. This is a movie that I started to anticipate from when it was like kind of announced, and then took a while to come out, and then when it finally got a release date, I was in there on Thursday night, as you were, to check it out, and yeah, now we're here with our thoughts on Maggie Gyllenhaal's sophomore go of it, The Bride.
Yeah, The Bride. Now,
I'm the only one saying it right. No one's saying it right. Everybody's saying it without that exclamation point.
The Bride.
Thank you. That's how you're
Yeah.
supposed to say it. No one's saying it right. Here comes
Yeah.
The Bride.
Right. I mean, I feel like we have opinions in this movie, but people are like, it's like Chicken Little shit. It's like the worst horror flop of the year. They're copying Joker Folie à Deux. What the fuck is this? They're doing too much, brah. I've heard a lot.
Yeah, some of that's true.
Yeah, maybe some of them are fair criticism. That doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad movie. But
No.
we'll just start from the top. You know what? I think this is a very easy movie to do a synopsis of by just mentioning other movies if you want. So why don't you take a crack at it?
Yeah. So The Bride. Basically, it's about a lonely Frankenstein who travels to Chicago and ends up realizing I'm really lonely. I need a woman. Creates Jessie Buckley, and Jessie Buckley gets personaed into half of her being herself as the bride of Ida, I believe, and half of it being of like basically haunted by Mary Shelley. So yeah, and then it becomes like a lot of different movies that it's not hiding its homages to, but also not copying them.
Yeah, it becomes like I've heard people say Bonnie and Clyde. I got like it was funny because I was like, oh, this is Natural Born Killers, but isn't Natural Born Killers just Bonnie and Clyde? Yes, it's Bonnie and
Yes.
Clyde.
So my brother said Natural Born Killers, so he's on the natural. I saw Bonnie and Clyde right away, and Persona because of the obvious black and white, like close-up face shots, but they kind of abandoned that. That's the first 30 seconds of the movie, so I wouldn't even say it's a spoiler yet. But overall, you know, I'm not going to talk this whole reviewing the reviews of this movie. But like, I do think that it's being quite disingenuous, a lot of people, with how hard they're being on this movie.
Yeah, a lot of people are just like going nuts. Like they're acting like it's absolute shit. And we'll get into that kind of criticism, but I don't think we're going to end up saying it's shit. But go ahead.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and I just overall, I had a good time with this. I didn't have a great time. I wanted to have a great time. There is a great scene in this movie that we'll talk about in detail, and a few really good scenes and a lot of good scenes. And I think sometimes like we just don't know how to like handle when a movie is making so many choices, yet it still somehow is like we're whelmed by it by the end of it. Like it's weird because like I ended up liking this movie, and this feels like a movie that should only be able to be hated or loved. But somehow I ended up in the middle on, which is like unusual for me.
Yeah, I will throw up spoilers just in case I say something. But like there's really like what, 3 different plot lines here, and there are varying levels of importance.
Yes.
You have Frankenstein's monster, who is not ever referred to as Frankenstein's monster. He has become a honorary Frankenstein.
Yes, so played by Christian Bale.
Yeah. And they call him Frank for short, or Frankie. He wants away. So it is kind of like the Bride of Frankenstein plotline in the sense like that's happening. So we have that. Then there's also like they're also like going about murdering people, you know, justified. I'd say a lot of the murders are self-defense, kind of justified murders. But there's a team of detectives, Peter Sarsgaard and Penelope Cruz, and Penelope Cruz doesn't let you forget she's a woman. She won't let you better not. Like you,
and
she's a woman and she's a cop.
And Penelope Cruz, I think, is a big reason why there is a lot of hate for this movie. Yeah. But also, interestingly, like it was my brother's favorite part of this movie.
I didn't mind them.
I do think it's a pretty clear homage to the Thin Man detectives, which if you've not seen those movies, hi Andrew, like there are, you know, like they are bumbling detectives, and they are put in this movie and they stick out, but it's intentionally done so. I just think that I don't know if they quite worked for me though. Like they'd probably be the aspect that I think was weaker for me. I would not say Penelope Cruz was my MVP.
Me either. I feel like I don't know. Do you think maybe this movie was originally like 4 hours long and they cut a bunch out of it? Because there's times when like Peter Sarsgaard and Penelope Cruz's characters are talking about things
that happened,
and you're like, I'm like, did I miss a conversation they had?
No.
Yeah, but we didn't.
And that's another problem with this movie. Ultimately, is it did need to be 4 hours long in order to be successful. I'm sure there's a cut by Maggie Gyllenhaal that is way better. But at the same point, this movie ends up feeling too long while also feeling like it was cut to shit. And that's another reason why, if you're going to sit for almost 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 20 minutes, this movie is. If you're going to sit that long and end up being whelmed, feeling like you need a little more, and you don't get to the theater a whole lot, or even if you do, either way, I get the reaction, honestly. I just think we're a little more forgiving of those aspects because of a lot of reasons versus for you. But for me, like I also watch bad movies once in a while, I guess. So like I just, it kind of resorts to the same defense I've seen a lot, but I'd rather have a movie try and fail than not try and moderately succeed. And I wouldn't say this movie fails. I'd say this movie tries and moderately to overall succeeds. Like I enjoyed it. Jessie Buckley's great in this movie. Needless to say, her cadence is really, really excellent and like grows on me very quickly. They like do a good job of modernizing like the themes of Bride of Frankenstein, how Mary Shelley would talk about her story if she was around today. Like I didn't there. So it's like, and it's not annoyingly done. It's never preachy. This movie's never preachy. And it only makes one mistake for me, which is it doesn't reference Birth Rebirth directly.
Correct. That's always a mistake. I don't think that was on their radar though.
That's a mistake.
The 2 hours and 20 minutes thing. There's like a third storyline that I think they could have scrapped entirely, because it only makes sense to frame how the bride came to be the body they used to make the bride. There's like a mob boss in Chicago that's like a misogynist. He's a misogynist. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you caught that in the movie.
I did.
He's definitely a misogynist because he's just like using women, and like whenever he's doing a lot of abuse to women, and I guess 30s level human trafficking. And whenever a woman speaks up, he just kills them and or cuts their tongue out. Mm-hmm. And then he kind of gets wind that the woman he killed, or the woman that was accidentally killed in the beginning of the movie, is alive. So he sends a hitman after her, John Magaro. And that's also happening in the movie at the same time. And again, you could have just peeled that whole piece out, maybe, and got this thing sub 2 hours, and people might have liked it more.
No, I agree. It's just, and I hardly even remember that aspect of the story until you brought it up again.
And there's also a scene like a Joker kind of like, if people are saying Joker Folie à Deux, but there's definitely a Joker like scene where like women are like, oh wow, the bride is cool, and they're dressing up, they're cosplaying her and being violent, which also is like another 5-minute segment of the movie that's never revisited and never builds, that could have been removed from the movie as well.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's like Birds of Prey, Harley Quinn, like inspiration type of shit. My favorite scene in the movie, though, it's the hanging at the Ritz. That
they do the young Frankenstein reference. Yes,
the entire Young Frankenstein references, they work so well here, though, and like the way the dancing is done with that like stop motion, whatever animation, herky-jerky, it's just so good, and it's like a great fourth wall break. Like if you're not familiar with earlier on in the channel, I hated Beetlejuice. And this gave me like all that energy of that like gothic, weird, fun, fourth wall breaking, loony, wild. It was Burden in some ways, like especially at that moment, Mel Brooks, type of like slapstick. It just worked so well, and it blended didn't like stick out from the rest of the movie in any way. Like just it worked so well, and like if it could have somehow kept that energy for the entire movie, it's like I don't know, like anything would have topped it for me for the year, because that was a 5-star scene for me, and like because it somehow kept that, it would have been great. But it does like dip and dive depending on which storyline it chooses to delve into.
Yeah. If the whole movie was like a flash mob musical dance number,
which it should have been,
it would have worked. I think it would have worked incredibly well, because that scene is great.
Yeah, and so when people compare it to Folie à Deux, like I wish it was more like Folie à Deux, because I think if it was, it would have worked way better. It wasn't. It was for moments, and those were some of the best moments in the movie. I will just say right now, I love Joker 2. I've watched it twice.
Yeah. And then I think we also we left out that the Dr. Frankenstein character is Dr. Euphoria or Euphorius, played by Annette Bening.
Yes.
I think she did a great job, and I think her Igor, whatever her name was, is just weird enough to be like cool.
The one who's like looks like Angela Houston.
Yes.
Yes.
Where they're kind of going for like, I think they were going for like a Rocky Horror Picture Show there, because she looks like Columbia.
Yes.
She's dressed like Columbia.
No, I agree.
Yeah, but she's not Columbia.
Yeah, but Annette Bening, she was really good in the movie, and I agree, like very good take. And this movie's like a really good time though. Like I would suggest this to anybody who's relatively open-minded to like different types of movies. I wouldn't suggest this to somebody who watches 10 movies a year. But if you're relatively like interested in like movies, and you can recognize like that not every swing is going to work, but it's going to be swinging 5 ways at once, 2 or 3.
And this isn't one of those movies where they do like 20,000 things, and you're like, why the fuck did you do that? You kind of respect the scatter shot. Like you kind of respect it. Like I like you said before, like my sense of what a bad movie is skewed because I watch bad movies on purpose. But there's plenty of movies where like they should you could tell they just tried everything and they had no idea what they're doing. This feels more like organized chaos.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'd be interested on a rewatch how some things hold up or improve. I would think this would probably improve on a rewatch for me, though.
And I am interested in the director's cut if it exists.
Yeah, which I would love to see. But Maggie Gyllenhaal, like 2 movies in, The Lost Daughter was fascinating. This is fascinating. She's not a boring filmmaker, so that's nice. I'm glad I saw this.
Let's drop that out. Let's talk about how we're going to rate this movie today. I think we landed in Danny's next cut. I'll go first. Like, is this movie going to make my top 10? I don't think so. This year looks crazy. In a weak year, this might have barely made my top 10. This year, it's not going to. But I did not have a bad time. I like, even though like some of the dialogue and there's like 1,000 Mexican standoffs in this movie. Every 10 minutes there's a Mexican standoff, but they're all done really well. I was riveted enough. 3.5.
Yeah, no, leave it up there. 3.5 for me as well. 0 walkouts from our theater until like the last like 10 minutes. Somebody did walk out in the last 10 minutes on the left side.
They couldn't hold it.
Yeah, I hope that was the case, but it might have just been too much women talk. Who knows? But yeah, that's a good movie. Go check it out. It doesn't deserve the hate it's getting, and I think over time, this will correct itself like many movies do.
Yeah, like you said, Christian Bale and Jesse Buckley are killing it. Like,
yes.
It's just the structure maybe that takes away from it. But hey, if you made it this far in the video, like, comment, subscribe, share, go to the Facebook group at Why We Love Horror, and check out the Letterboxd challenge right there. Pause. Go to the QR code. Follow along. We're still getting people joining the challenge, so you can join too. That being said, this has been Why We Love Horror. I'm JWMaher. That's Aaron Brooks. We'll see you the next time a new movie comes out, which might be later this week.